If you care about how civilizations actually endure, not just how they fight or fall, then this topic matters. And before we go any further, subscribe to the Global War Archive, because this channel exists for people who want long-form, evidence-based history that connects ancient survival knowledge to the modern world. This is not casual trivia. This is about why Roman structures still stand after 2 millennia, while modern concrete often crumbles within a single human lifetime. Why this question should bother anyone who studies history seriously. Every time you walk past a cracked highway overpass built in the 1970s, you are seeing a failure that Roman engineers would have found unacceptable. Roman harbours still sit in salt water. Domes still span massive interiors without steel reinforcement. Entire foundations remain chemically stable after earthquakes, fires, and floods. This is not nostalgia. It is a material science problem that modern builders knowingly abandoned, largely because speed and profit replaced longevity as design priorities. What Romans actually meant when they said concrete. Roman concrete, known as opus caementitium, was not the Portland cement-based material we use today. Its core ingredients were lime, volcanic ash, water, and stone aggregate. The volcanic ash, often sourced from the region around the Bay of Naples, was called pozzolana, and it is the key to everything. When mixed with lime and exposed to water, pozzolana triggered chemical reactions that modern concrete simply does not replicate. This formula is described in detail by Vitruvius, whose writings were not theoretical, but field manuals for builders who expected their work to outlive empires. Why seawater made Roman concrete stronger instead of weaker? You see, modern concrete hates water. Salt water penetrates steel rebar, causes corrosion, expands, cracks the structure, and eventually destroys it from the inside. Roman concrete contained no steel, and that absence is deliberate. When Roman harbour concrete met seawater, minerals like aluminous tobamorite and philipsite slowly formed within the matrix. These crystals locked the structure together over time, meaning the concrete healed itself as it aged. This is not speculation. This has been confirmed by modern materials scientists analysing cores taken from Roman maritime structures. You know, it's fascinating how Roman buildings managed to survive earthquakes without any sort of modern reinforcement. Roman concrete wasn't just a single, uniform material. Instead, it was carefully layered with heavier aggregate placed at the base and lighter volcanic stone used toward the top. This clever approach resulted in structures that could actually absorb stress rather than just resisting it in a rigid way. The Dome of the Pantheon is really the best-known example of this technique. Its concrete dome still stands as the largest unreinforced concrete dome on Earth, and that's not simply because the Romans got lucky. They actually engineered flexibility into the material itself. Now, modern concrete is certainly strong in compression, but it tends to be quite brittle when stressed. Roman concrete, on the other hand, behaved much more like living stone. So, why does modern concrete fail? Well, it's often by design, not by accident. Portland cement-based concrete is optimized for things like fast curing, standardized strength ratings, and compatibility with steel reinforcement. But honestly, none of those priorities are particularly good for longevity. Steel rebar, as it corrodes, expands and ends up cracking the concrete from within. So, microfractures form early, water enters, and then, well, those freeze-thaw cycles really accelerate the damage. Maintenance, it just becomes a permanent expense, doesn't it? Roman concrete, on the other hand, avoided this trap entirely. It cured slowly, bonded chemically over time, and importantly, it contained no internal elements that could rot. The difference here isn't intelligence, it's intent. Let's consider what modern builders intentionally left behind. Roman concrete, for instance, takes time to cure properly. It also requires specific raw materials and, a bit of local geological knowledge. It simply can't be rushed to meet quarterly construction targets. In the industrial age, speed, it replaced permanence. Structures these days are designed to last just long enough to justify their cost, not long enough to become ruins admired by future civilizations. And that really is why Roman roads still form the foundations of European infrastructure, while modern highways require constant replacement. So how can this knowledge be applied today in practical terms? Builders working in coastal or seismic regions can already apply Roman principles by reducing steel dependency, using pozzolanic materials like volcanic ash or fly ash, and designing structures that, accommodate movement rather than resist it. Some modern engineers are experimenting with lime-based concretes that, interestingly, self-heal microcracks when exposed to moisture. Even on a small scale, survivalists building long-term shelters or storage structures can really benefit from prioritizing lime pozzolan mixes, thick walls, and slow curing. This approach can actually achieve durability measured in generations, not just decades. So, why does this matter beyond just architecture and into the broader sweep of survival history? Well, Rome did not simply conquer territory. It built systems that were meant to endure collapse. Aqueducts, roads, harbors, and fortifications were all constructed with the assumption that one day maintenance might fail. That mindset, honestly, is survival engineering, not just about aesthetics. When modern societies relearn these lessons, they're not copying Rome out of admiration, but really out of necessity. Roman concrete survived because it was designed to age gracefully. Modern concrete, on the other hand, fails because it was designed to be replaced. That single difference, in fact, explains 2,000 years of endurance. If this kind of deep practical history matters to you, then, subscribe to the Global War Archive. Share this video with someone who still thinks ancient builders were primitive and help keep this knowledge alive. History only stays useful if we refuse to forget what once worked.